the experience of appreciation, the experience of beauty, all of the kind of positive human responses to having access to nature, being able to walk through parks and trees and wilderness and mountains. If people actually get the language and get some kind of validation for these experiences, then the experience goes deeper in some way.
It goes into something deeper. Actually, well, I'm not sure if saying it goes into something deeper is the right way to say it, because
Mm-hmm.
I think this deeper is already there. Yeah, I think it's important that we get language to talk about these values, because becoming aware that this is happening, there is actually something, very meaningful going on when I just look at the view outside my window and,
Mm-hmm.
or go for a walk by the river. There's something deeply meaningful going on.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm aware of that, then I'm more likely to kind of take it in kind of more
Mm-hmm.
deeply. Just being aware of it and kind of opening myself up to it even more. When we talk about the experience of beauty, we often think that it's just about, I'm looking at something that catches my eye,
Yeah.
It's a pleasurable kind of, and often people relate it to something very kind of superficial. Beauty has been kind of narrowed down in that way. And then I found through kind of understanding it through a phenomenological perspective and through Merleau-Ponty's philosophy that beauty is actually something so profound. It's such a kind of deeply at the core of being human to experience this, and it's an experience that kind of allows us to sense how we are not separate from the world. There is no boundary between me
Mm-hmm.
and what I'm experiencing. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
am allowed to notice that through beauty. Astounds me how in different experiences of beauty in nature, just from looking at a cloud or, seeing a horse or looking at the waterfall or whatever it is, being with a tree, there's always this, when you dive deeply into what is actually going on,
Mm-hmm.
there is this deeply relational kind of.
It becomes something much more open, much more connecting, much more of an experience of I'm a part of this.
This is where the connection with focusing also maybe comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, beauty is like a teacher in listening in a way. Because, or it can become like a teacher, because this kind of having your attention towards kind of tuned into beauty and what happens in these moments of beauty is that everything else perceiving just to perceive.
Mm-hmm.
And in that mode it's a receptive mode, and when we allow ourselves to just perceive
Mm-hmm.
and just stay in that, kind of dwell with something in this receptive mode, we are kind of like opening up to receiving meaning from the world in a way.
But what is it that we're dwelling with?
What does looking at that or hearing that or sensing that, what does it create in me? How do I resonate? What does this make me feel? And then we allow ourselves to dwell there, and then, something pops up,
Mm.
something comes from there. And something comes from there that maybe tells me something about my relation with the cloud or with the world.
When I imagine looking at the cloud in the way that you're describing, so that I'm actually receiving it
Mhm.
and dwelling with, I am actually dwelling with a feeling or maybe a felt sense of that, not just that cloud. It becomes less
Mhm.
subject object kind of relationship for me.
Mhm.
And the question is, so what am I dwelling with? And it feels like it's a moment where I witness the world's entrance into me in some way. There's something that feels more like where life or where nature is more than showing me my place in it, more like almost inhabiting me. And I'm witnessing that. I'm witnessing my not separateness from it.
This is exactly the type of experience that when I have been interviewing people and myself about
Hmm.
the experience of beauty through microphenomenology, this kind of experiencing yourself as not a self, but as a
Hmm. Exactly.
as this kind of part of
Yeah.
the kind of core of the experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I think it's an important experience, even the everyday ones that seem so,
Hmm.
insignificant, like this, just, looking out the window and seeing a cloud, it
Hmm. Hmm.
doesn't seem so hugely profound as like, coming to this
Hmm.
spectacular waterfall or
Yeah.
kind of images of beauty that we have, like spectacularness, just in these tiny everyday moments that this profoundness is there. It's in those moments also.